This is Louisa. I'm in Massachusetts, and
where in Massachusetts?
I guess. Yeah, originally from New York, but now live in Massachusetts, not too far from Worcester.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit as well about inclusive language, and I think like strategy, legally speaking, that we should be thinking of. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
No, that's all right. You're doing great.
I don't know. Like I personally think all of us should be having our eyes on the idea that we don't want anyone to have their medical care or choices dictated by legislation from outside source, anything other than like what is best medically deemed by their doctor or a team of doctors. And, you know, at this current point in time, you know, we kind of, we kind of see them almost like in two different fashions. You have like lots of bills that are threatening trans people and the care that they can receive and reproductive freedom.
Right.
But I kind of see them all on the same track. And honestly, it's the way how easily a lot of these trans bills have been passed that are restricting the type of medical care that trans people can get. That's right, all on the same road as I think reproductive measures are as well. We know that they want to come for birth control, probably want to come for IVF as well. I don't really like what difference is there between them saying, oh, trans people can't receive hormone therapy because of their morals versus women can't have birth control because of their morals. There's no difference because it's not, you know, based on medical reasons. It's only because they in their morals see it as wrong. It is fundamentalism. That's it. It's just a religious fundamentalism. I mean, there's no, I mean, people should not kid themselves. There may be non-religious fundamentalists who hold these opinions, but as a political matter, the vast majority of, not even the vast majority, the entire existence of this as a political issue is because it is being pushed systematically and it is a plan. It is a part of a program, and programmatically, I should say, by essentially theocrats. And it is also, I mean, to the extent that it's not being pushed by theocrats, it is being pushed by people who want to harness the theocratic fundamentalist nature of a third of the country to their political benefit. Period. End of story. That's what it is. I mean, the entire, and I appreciate the call. I'm going to talk about this for a second. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. There's a couple of things that there's a story by Ron Brownstein, I think it is, in The Atlantic, about the Republican Party having like sort of there being this realignment, and we've talked about this, you know, ad nauseum. I imagine when we get closer to the election that we will talk more about it. But if you look at Republican counties or Republican districts in Congress, the Republican Party has essentially, there's been this shift where the white working class, defined by, I think it's under $65,000, I'm not 100% sure what it is, and has sorted itself, the majority of whom now, vote Republican. Let's be clear. Republican Party for decades has always had a majority of white people. They have always won the majority of white people. They are a party almost exclusively of white people, maybe 90%, maybe 88%. But the income distribution has changed. The more educated people are voting for Democrat. Broadly speaking, these are broad trends. However, these same districts, they have a good opinion of Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security.
They also have greater need for SNAP, for other government programs, yet they are hostile to these programs. And they're more motivated by cultural voting. And despite the fact that it is, listen, there is no doubt that the Democratic Party is not the optimal party for labor. It is not the optimal party for universality. There is a huge sort of neoliberal strain that took over the party, starting, debatable whether it was Clinton, but it really, in many respects started with Carter, even arguably, with McGovern in terms of taking an anti-labor turn, but whatever. It has existed for, these decades. But it's also indisputable that you would not get rollbacks on Dodd-Frank. You would not, Social Security would not be under threat were it not for the existence of a Republican Party that is, targeted like a laser on these things. Also in terms of SNAP, also in terms of child tax credit. I mean, on and on. To the extent, if you want to characterize it as breadcrumbs, I think that would be a mistake because it has a material benefit to people, without a doubt. I mean, getting an extra $300 per kid per month had a material impact on people. We saw a diminishment of child poverty by 35, 40, 45% over the course of these things. Yet it does not, these material interests are still not the primary interest of these voters. And there's really only two answers that you can provide. We need even more material benefits for these people, which I think we do just as a matter of policy. But as a political matter, it is unclear to me where the threshold is, where that and the ability to communicate this is coming from, a political party. As to motivate them from a voting standpoint. This is strictly, we're talking about just electoral politics here. The other question is, how do we begin to undermine the cultural message that the Republican Party is espousing? It was done in terms of marriage equality. It was done. And part of it was just because too many people knew too many people who were gay. And began to realize, oh my God, it's not going to rain cats and dogs if gay people get married. Too many people, they have built up myths about, crime in New York City and in Chicago, and and it's a function of black and brown people. I mean, there needs to be an engagement on these cultural issues, as well as on the material benefits that people need. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter.
That's exactly right.
You can ignore that, and you're not going to be able to get to the point where you can deliver the material goods.
Well, it's just right. I mean, sorry to cut you off, Sam, but it's just important to emphasize that, because I think there's this sometimes false notion that people fall back on that, if the Democratic Party really just leans into kitchen table issues, bread and butter issues, reorients itself towards labor, which we're 100% in favor of, which they need to be doing, supporting issues like Medicare for all, universal child care, what have you, that this kind of stuff will fix itself. And that's false as well. The Democratic Party needs to be doing those things that you describe, but leaving a vacuum on things like trans issues or LGBTQ, racism, all of that kind of stuff, no matter what the Democratic Party does on those other things and providing a positive vision, then you're leaving a vacuum for that stuff to still appeal to people who might already have a cynicism about the Democratic Party. You cannot leave that vacuum from a political purpose, let alone the fact that it's the wrong thing morally to do, to just abandon those issues.
Exactly. And, you see Biden out there. The reason why he's talking about Social Security and Medicare is, again, because, these are districts where you have older people versus younger people.
who tend to vote for Republicans in these districts. And he's trying to remind them that the Republicans are not your friend when it comes to these two programs that are wildly popular.